All right, everyone, welcome back. Our 2023-2024 season previews continue on today with the Buffalo Sabres. And the Sabres are a team that obviously hasn't made the playoffs in 13 years, or I think it's 12 at this point. And I know it's weird to start off with that, but honestly, this coming year, they have a decent shot at making it back to the postseason for the first time in a long time. But first off, let's look back at 22-23, where they went 42, 33, and 7 for 91 points. They were 20th in the NHL, and they missed the playoffs. The funny thing is about Buffalo is that, first off, they have above a 500 record, which I think they did last year, but regardless, they still did this past year. And, they were in contention really all the way up until the end of the season. Like, probably the last, couple of games was before Buffalo was eliminated. They stayed in the hunt for a while there, and I'll give them credit for that for sure. They definitely deserved it with just the way they were playing. And they didn't really make too much changes to the core either. The core is mainly the same apart from some retirements and some guys leaving for Europe. You got Craig Anderson, Vinny Hinostroza, Lawrence Pilut, and Ilya Lyubushkin. Are guys who have departed from this Buffalo Sabres team. So, again, not a hefty list there. Anderson, yes, he was a starting goalie, but he was old. He was getting up there in age, and there was already talks of Devin Levi coming up to the roster. Still getting used to saying Devin. I've been saying Devon for so long. It's Devin, not Devon, Evan. Vinny Hinostroza obviously left as well. Lawrence Pilut, all those guys were mainly just depth players. They didn't play too much of roles. Hinostroza was a good fourth liner, but is not going to be that much now. And then Lyubushkin was traded to Anaheim about a week ago now, I believe. So that was a ways away from now, of course, by now. Your arrivals, they didn't do too much arrival-wise either. They really didn't make that much moves in the offseason, to be honest. Connor Clifton and Eric Johnson were the only notable guys that I see there affecting the main core. So, yeah, really not that big of a upgrade there. Clifton, Johnson, just depth on the blue line. Really nothing much there. But, yeah, that's kind of what they needed, if I'm being honest. You were looking at that blue line saying, yeah, that blue line's not going to handle itself too well. So it's good they brought in some veteran presence and some good depth there in Clifton and Eric Johnson. You look at your lineup here for the Buffalo Sabres. This is via the Hockey News. Again, this is a scenario where everybody is fully healthy. I know there are some stuff surrounding Jack Quinn. We'll get into that in a second here. But I do have him placed in the lineup. This is just their overall, I guess it's their depth chart, mainly, if you want to put it that way. So first line and second line, Skinner, Thompson, and Tuck is your first line. Then second line, I got J.D. Paterka, Dylan Cousins, and Jack Quinn. Quinn, I have heard, though, he is on the injury reserve. He is injured. So that means Victor Olofsson's probably the next one in line there to come up to the play in the top six. And that's definitely good there for sure. Olofsson had kind of a bad year. It's been in trade rumors for a while. So honestly, it's good that he's going to get a shot there to kind of redeem himself in that top six role while Jack Quinn is gone, healing from the injury. But apart from that, really good top six. Jeff Skinner has been solidly improving, even though we thought that contract was the worst in the league. It's getting better and better. It still is an overpay. I'm not gonna deny that. But regardless, it's getting better and better, I guess. Thompson, great 6'7" forward. I've seen him play in person. I've seen most of this team play in person. In fact, it reminds me that I went to a game where they played the Flyers, and they lost, of course, but they still I get to see guys like Dahlin and Tuck and Cousins and Thompson. All those guys look they're fast, and they're a good team. I'm not gonna lie to you. They have a pretty damn good roster. Bottom six here, you got Jordan Greenway, Casey Middlestat, and Victor Olofsson. Of course, he'd be up to the top six, but we're just gonna put him in the third line. Zegmas Girgensons, Peyton Krebs, and Kyle Okposo as your fourth line. And then for some extra players, you have Tyson Jost, Matthew Savoy, and Yuri Kulich as well. So I would imagine with the Quinn injury, it's going to basically move that whole left wing core up. So Olofsson will be in the second line, Okposo third, Kulich fourth. And that's a good opportunity there for Yuri Kulich, too, to get some playing time. I would expect he may be over Okposo there, though. But, of course, we will find out. But regardless, Yeah, I like the bottom six. Maybe swap Krebs and Middlestat. Put Krebs as your third line center. That's not too bad there. But yeah, overall they're young, but they look good. Honestly, like I wouldn't say, and if they make the playoffs this year, they're not going to do much in the playoffs. I'm going to be honest. It's in a competitive Atlantic Division. They're probably not going to do much because I think a lot of their guys are still a ways away from fully developing. I think some of the guys are still a little ways away before they get to their full potential and reach their prime. Like Savoy, Kulich, Cousins, Quinn, Olofsson, even Krebs. They're all still a few ways away a little bit, all different timelines, of course, from reaching the prime. But once these guys do reach their prime, already with Thompson, Skinner, Tuck, and such, my God, they'll be a good offensive team. Defense, though, is where I have my concerns. You got Samuelson and Dahlin as your first pairing, Owen Power and Connor Clifton as your second pairing, Yoki Haru and Eric Johnson as your third pairing. Then you got Ryan Johnson, who we talked about in the prospect pool overview, and Cale Clegg as your extra defenders. So as I mentioned there, the defense is where I have some concern. I'm not going to lie. Apart from Samuelson, Power, and Dahlin, the rest is iffy. The other half of the defense is a little bit iffy, in my opinion. Yoki Haru, not terrible. But we'll see what Clifton and Johnson can do. And guys like Clegg and Ryan Johnson is going to get a shot. I would imagine, though, Ryan Johnson's probably going to stay with in the AHL with, I can't think of their affiliate right now. I'm blanking on who their affiliate is. Oh, Rochester. I don't know why I was like blanking on that. Yeah, he'll probably stay down with Rochester, most likely. But of course, the defense there is where I have a little bit of concern. But apart from that, I'm not too concerned. And then there's the goaltending, and the goaltending is also where I'm a little bit I want to further explain that. You got Devon Levi and Eric Comrie, then you got Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen as your third string goalie. Honestly, you could intertwine the three either way you want. Really, we don't know how it's going to go until probably training camp. Levi's probably going to be one of the two goalies that starts probably. And I've seen that a lot. I've seen people say that Levi is going to be the starter out of the bat. I've said that in the prospect pool review. I just don't think it's smart. I don't think it's smart to make Levi start start over 50 games a season in his first full rookie season. Yes, in those 7 games played, he played well, but it's 7 games. I think the smart move would be to run a tandem with Comrie or Luukkonen and Levi. I think that would be the smartest way to go. But obviously Levi is expected to take the jump to the NHL, hopefully, and probably not play any time with Rochester, even though he didn't play, even though he was with University of or Boston University, I believe. I can't remember, or it was like Northwestern, something like that. But regardless, yeah, I'm interested there to see what the goalies are going to do. And that's one of the bigger ones that I have too. But the biggest X factor for my team, or for this team, sorry, not my team, is the defense. The defense is also obviously a concern because outside of the first 3, it's a little bit iffy. But of course, we'll see how those guys develop. Another one there too is the goaltending. You could argue that as well. That is the other issue. Offensively, they should be fine. But we'll find out how they do defensively. The biggest question is, can they make it to the playoffs? That's really just what I've seen out of Buffalo. Can they make it to the playoffs this coming season? And yeah, that's the biggest thing. Are they going to be able to push their way into a playoff spot in that competitive Atlantic Division? And I thought about this too in the Tampa video. I talked about it as well. You got Buffalo, you got Ottawa, and Detroit. Those are the 3 teams that are expected to have a much better year than they've had in previous years. And then there's teams there too, like Toronto, Tampa, Florida, Montreal, Boston. That's their whole Atlantic Division. Montreal shouldn't be a worry, even though I think they got better. They're going to be competitive, but they're not going to be like a contending team still. Detroit and Ottawa, obviously, they are in their own spots there. Ottawa, I'd say, is the best out of the 3 right now. I'm going to be honest. Ottawa's probably the best out of the 3. Buffalo's second and Detroit's third. Mainly because just Ottawa has, I think, better goaltending at this stage or more experience, and their blue line is much more solidified. But overall, there's still some questions facing Buffalo there in that regard. Your point projections here per the Hockey News' fantasy guide. You've got Tage Thompson leading the way with 84 points. Alex Tuck with 80, a tie between Tied with third there, Cousins and Dahlin with 75 points, and then Jeff Skinner with 68 points. And then you see a massive gap down the Casey Middlestat at 51. But regardless, that is your point projections there. I don't really know why I mentioned those. I think it's interesting to talk about. But of course, we'll see if those are right or not. And I remember when I made my point projections, they were awful. Like, I had Thompson scoring 100 points. Casey Middlestat is the sleeper or bust here. It took a good long while for Casey Middlestat to find his footing, but over the final 3 months of the last season, he amassed 31 points in 33 games played. A rising tide will lift all ships, and the Sabres are on a steep upward trajectory. So yeah, Middlestat there, I forgot to talk about how towards the end of the season, he actually had a pretty good stretch there where he was scoring some good amount of points. Definitely was looking like one of the more positive guys, and it took him a little bit to get there. I've seen many things saying, oh, Middlestat's a bust, this and that, but honestly, I'd say now we got to wait till how he does this season, but it's looking better for him in that area. So regardless, their cup odds, now I finally got this in the mail. It's their yearbook, the Hockey News yearbook. So for the people who are binge watching these previews, I did not talk about their cup odds in the other ones, but Buffalo's cup odds are 25-1, which isn't terrible. Honestly, I don't think that's the worst cup odds in the world. I know Philly and San Jose have it worse, and that's all you need to know. But anyways, that is your 2023-2024 season preview for the Buffalo Sabres. Hopefully, should be making contention to the playoffs. I'm not sure if they make the playoffs, but if they do, it's going to be great for Buffalo fans regardless. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I greatly appreciate it. Tomorrow is the Chicago Blackhawks season preview, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.